welcome to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. And to those who are new, we're a bunch of personal development, spiritual growth, leadership, integrated brain people, the 5D Collective. And so your 5D Mystic Mentor Content Creator podcast host gets to share all about how fun it is to be yourself, how fun it is to lead mindfulness daily life, how fun it is to be a mystic, and a lot more. And so sit down, relax, but these won't be too long. We're going to be waiting for our tier content for YouTube to get into a lot more things. And do remember, for one-to-one mentorship, you email. For the masterclass and spiritual retreats in the future, you sign up. And then for video, practical mindfulness mindset exercises, you want to subscribe to Fanbase and to Spotify or other podcast platforms, or one or the other. You can make that decision. In the meantime, I will notice where we're going to have more subscribers, and depending on that, I'll begin to roll out with the video exercises at that point. And in the meantime, just tuning in is something that I'm sure is going to make your day a lot more fun for the 5D Collective, of course. And so that's between mystics and mindful living and loving people and spiritual people. And as I settle into all of these previous years of information, attachment trauma, my own light body, rainbow body expansion, and consistently the capacity to decide how to integrate the two, we're moving without me introducing too much of me, but also making you aware of the opportunities that you can have for anything you may need with personal development and, again, daily life mindfulness practices, as well as spiritual growth. Now, leadership skills, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. So integrated brains and secure attachment, non-traumatized people and mystics are leader material. That is my complete belief, as some people would ask me, although at the same time, I look at it as basically a fact, although I know that all the neuroscience, neurobiologists, mental health people that I'm learning from are continuing to build data. And that's why I wouldn't use the fact thing, but also because I'm not a person who will use it that way. But when somebody asks me about my beliefs, I'm like, I don't really have beliefs this way that you're asking me. Because when you ask it to me like that, I think of facts. And I don't know all the facts because I'm not a sciences major, but also because I need to meet the real good scientists that know everything and that will bring to me things like Dr. Daniel Siegel does, so that I may be able to then say, hey, that's the guy you want to talk to. As for me, I'm a mystic. I'm a spiritual person. I'm a person who supports. It's more like a philosopher, but I'm not a philosopher. But that's why I am the pseudoscience woo lady. Because personal development, spiritual growth, and leadership are all areas that you choose to become a person that's invested in them. I'm the one who's the mentor, the content creator, the guide. So I'm a tool for you, but you're the one who's doing the work. So I get to be informed on what you will need in order to succeed, which is why I got attachment trauma informed. So to be yourself, I thought, well, hey, I'm myself just the way I am. And then I learned, oh, wait, there's a lot of people who don't know how to be their self. So that's the part of where when you meet 3D, 4D, they're not their true self, they're pause self. And I am consistently looking to say they're the ones who need Patrick Tian and Terry Real. IHP 5D Collective don't need Patrick Tiahan and Terry Real. We have our higher self in the lead. So you have, like we said in the short, the capacity, mindfulness daily life, you have the courage to deal with the unknown using your prefrontal cortex and ventral. And that's why you're going to find pseudoscience, self-help, ooh, lady, helpful with the inner growth mindset, for example, because you know how to use your thoughts and emotions with your ventral energy. So it means you're self-aware, accountable, regulating with, I have emotions that come up. I don't have child parts that are charged. I know how to breathe rhythmically and get myself in my ventral vagal. Restorative embodiment. So you will have taken healing trauma seriously, and then you add mindfulness mindset. Leadership and leadership skills are accurate when they have in their mind the awareness, your nervous system, first of all. Do you know how to live restorative embodiment, or are you not yet living it? And if you are not, then we have what is called your modulated and dysregulated embodiment, which is not a positive. So my next follow-up would be, do you know how to get out of your sympathetic and dorsal vagal, and do you do it happily, or are you the Zen master who says everybody has laundry, and so enlightenment, so age-up is not possible for you to be in that frequency? Yeah, it is possible to be in ventral energy. People who don't want to get out of their ventral No, people who don't want to get out of their sympathetic and dorsal vagal say, you want me to feel only one emotion, Maria? Not really. But if that's how you feel about feeling good inside, well, I'm not going to do anything. Keep on doing your sympathetic dorsal vagal while I completely leave it alone, because it's your 3-year-old, not mine. And so the first year of life matters. The first 3 to 7, yes, all your child parts. And so the fact is that in science, a fact is an observation that's been confirmed so many times that scientists can, for all intents and purposes, accept it as true. However, everything in science comes with a level of uncertainty, so nothing is ever scientifically true beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's how smart scientists will tell you 97% of what is out there is unavailable for scientists to observe for all of us. And so they will give you their information. Attachment trauma. The Stephen Porges polyvagal theory, he's still building the quantitative data. So that one, when you look at Wikipedia, it will say it's not proven yet. Okay, so people who are aware of quantitative data in a smart way like I am, we will take the data and we will know where to find it, and we won't be skeptics where we're going to deny the good neuroscience, neurobiology, mental health that have all pretty much about, I'm going to say at bare minimum 50% of them show how your well-being is found, how the kingdom of God, heaven in the body, the seed of enlightenment comes in here. Not to mention I'm living it right here. I didn't need yoga because I have a securely attached, non-traumatized Maria, because I got a 0-1-year-old, she didn't break. I got a 3-7, she didn't break, because I know how to self-regulate in the absence of you. That's why I'm non-traumatized. And when I got to teenage land, guess what I met? A bunch of cowards. And today I know what they are. They're the same cowards I still meet. So when you have people who pretend to be leaders, they're vases that nobody is going to really be paying attention to, because my ears will have pointed, no, they will have spotted what you're using. Because as Stephen Porges points out, your nervous system comes through your throat. You also wear your heart on your face, not on your sleeve. And in the meantime, as a mystic who's also in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and I do know about God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, I won't be doing anything to be mean. I already got taught how to forgive before I even met Stephen Porges. And once I heard Stephen Porges' explanation, I was like, hey, it's awesome, Stephen. God did tell me about, how to forgive, be humble, and I chose it, and then Jesus had to forgive, and now I know they really don't know what they're doing. So biologically rude people are the ones who live trauma time, because as Pat Ogden points out, trauma can be so overwhelming for the body that it will not be metabolized. And so when they're playing out their childhood, it's not really pretty to watch men, women, I don't know any days, but grown-ups thinking that they're actually in a loving relationship when they're in a, what Patrick Tian would call a very not good, codependent, toxic relationship. And they just can't let go of trying to save themselves from their own home as they continue to date what is their toxic parent, essentially. And really, again, you can't actually make a donkey drink from the well, and even if they do, they can taint it, because a paw's self, as Patrick Jan will point out, has a distorted perspective. Their perception has completely been distorted with shame, blame, fault, revenge. They completely have non-metabolized trauma that they pseudo-lively play out, and if you're talking to them, their ears don't hear you, because as Stephen Porges will point out, biologically rude people have it down, and that's accurate. They will change everything you tell them because they lack self-awareness, accountability, regulation to get themselves to their true self and become a higher self. So they're led by exiles, protectors, their parts. Some of them have fragmented selves, some of them have blank selves, and they will not in any way shape or form. In the years that I've been on the journey, not only of attachment trauma, but also personal development, not to mention spiritual growth, I've expanded consistently year after year. My mystic journey is one that is amazing. So here's where I believe, yes, in God, in Jesus, and Holy Spirit. And I know that spiritual gifts, psychic gifts, and everything that is clairs is the same as what scientists look into. Difference is scientists don't have the relationship with God, or with Akash, or with Spirit, or with Anima Mundi. And they don't have to. This is the beauty of us being spiritual and they're not. We don't prove to scientists spirit. No, we don't do shit like that, because any scientist, by the way, who comes to me with that tone, yeah, I ain't going to take you seriously, because you just proved to me you're not a true scientist. A true scientist knows that you have still plenty of other people who could be looking into things like reality and them using AI to try and disprove it. So the reality is only buffoons will come at you with something like, your head's going to fall out of your asshole. I guess so. Stupid lady, what can I say? And that is actually how we're going to handle someone like that, because intellect and intelligence don't want to be around stupidity. Non-bilaterally integrated people are simply arrogant and actually not as enlightened as they may think. They can offer us golden nuggets. But believing, so here's where for me, belief is a word that I don't prefer when they ask me, because of me thinking you're asking me about facts, although they're not. So belief means to have confidence in the truth or existence of something, or to accept something as true. Truth is the land of neutrality, as I learned in my lovely trauma attachment educator courses, and as I know, because I, Maria, live thoughts and emotions from my subjective experiencing embodied brain. And so this is the other part. A person who doesn't like this, you don't have any opinion then. I'm giving you an answer. You're not welcoming that truth is neutrality, because you're the one who doesn't want to accept mindfully that self-awareness, accountability, regulation makes me the capacity to know that I will perceive a truth my way and you will perceive yours. So why are you asking me what I believe in? Because it doesn't really matter. Because when I'm interacting with you, we're in a relational field. So what's mattering is how are we talking, leadership skills. So I'm going to give you the story of my friend, the one facade friend of mine. As I finished telling him he's a hypocrite, which he to this day is, because he's an inconsistent man who doesn't do what he says and he judges books by his cover. He's not the only facade. Any not securely attached human being who has child parts running them, the teenager, is going to be that to me, because they completely disregard their lack of subjective experience being a subjective experience. They want their belief to be a fact. It ain't no fact, and you sound just as dumb as the other scientists that say, I've never seen a medium ever. Sure, go ahead. Again, you're not spiritual. So a person of spirit isn't going to battle you on it, because I won't be proving God or spirit or source, and you are being disrespectful to a person who has faith by choosing to think with arrogance that your mathematics are more true than mine, which again is not provable. So all of it was a waste of time, which is also why we don't bother, is that what I just did is an explanation that I'm not going to do with a person. And if they do push it, then I'll do it, but it'll end in the same infinity circle that they don't want, because they're not able to have the unknown and the courage to explore the unknown with their prefrontal cortex, because they are obviously non-bilaterally integrated. So they don't sit very well with darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Yes, they don't like that. I don't give a shit because I know darkness, meaning, yeah, unknown. Human secondary consciousness ain't throwing me off of my game, because with God or without God, the reality is an asteroid could hit us right now. I've made myself very used to it. No, it's actual reality. So when you're grounded in reality, mindfully, you know, yeah, I have 24 hours. I'm mortal. I might die tomorrow. That doesn't make me... No, actually, it makes me say, let me remember to make the best of every day, because every day counts. And I will do so with what I bring forth. So as an entrepreneur, marketer, a person who is, again, very involved in everything that I create in the community, and just even my relationships, every day counts. That's where I decided this as a kid growing up. When I read Marcus Aurelius, who told me, hey, Maria, why worry about something you can't worry about? Because I would wake up from sleep crying to death, no, really sad, because I'm like, I don't want to forget everybody I love. And that's a 16-year-old for you, which wasn't depressive or dramatic or in some type of, oh my God, I'm really dying. I have so much courage because I made it over that hump. No, I was being very dramatic because of something that's meaningful for me. It doesn't need to be romanticized. It doesn't need to be demonized. It doesn't need to be shamed. Vulnerability doesn't need to be prized. I'm having what is called an emotional experience for what is a truth, which is I will die and I won't know it and I will not see my loved ones. So when you wake up in the morning and all your loved ones are alive, hey, it's good news. Let's get ready to use our ventral energy. So 45 I am, 16 I was. This hasn't changed, except for it's gotten way easier to be in my prefrontal, because as a teenager I definitely wasn't in my prefrontal yet. I remember when I learned how to get out of the depths of the ocean, because that's what happens when you are like, alert, alert. Okay, you know what, Maria? You go to that depth and then that depth. Yeah, I'm sure you can stand in the middle. That's how I approached it with myself, without knowing about Tara Brach. And then I watched Tara Brach's mindfulness meditation video. I'm like, you can go watch it. It's for free. She gives you great advice. And here's why that Zen master shouldn't use the title Zen, because he doesn't know how to do it. And he's making a whole discourse on how enlightenment is not possible. So if you meet anyone who tells you, I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, so is, I'm sure, Sadhguru. I don't know how he spells it out, but this Zen master makes a blanket statement of how he is going to say no one can be in enlightenment or enlightened. Okay, sure. Well, I mean, really, I don't know why you're a Zen. Because you're not a Zen. You obviously don't have and have not been illuminated. And anybody who wants to prove spirituality also. So trying to prove spirit, trying to prove source, trying to prove PROVE, anyone who's doing that, I'm like, hey, left mode, what's up? Is your teenager in town today? No, I won't do that to them, actually. But that's a person who I know as a teenager. Excuse me, you're confusing science and spirituality. No, I'm not, but I'm not going to try and explain it to you because I really don't want to. Because again, you're not curious, not open, not accepting, not loving. I got a teenager in the room. Alert, alert, alert. I don't have a courageous prefrontal cortex. I got a Cusco. And Cusco is going to want to play a hand. And that hand is their trauma time, which is really boring to an intellectually intelligent brain who wants to learn things, not hear about your side of the story or your hypotheses. You're not an academic, so I don't take your hypotheses seriously because it's also based on your tainted, implicit, explicit biases, whatever's happened to you in your life that you won't even admit to yourself happened. So I'm just hearing your personal opinion, your belief, which I don't care to. I'd rather go learn the facts from the data people. Even the ones who say, I've never seen a medium ever. I'll go listen to that dude because I know his brain is brilliant compared to a random human being who interrupts me while I'm speaking to tell me about me confusing science and spirituality. And then when I say, no, I'm not, saying, but I'm a mystic too. So you're now comparing yourself to me, which nobody asked you to. And then I say, okay, let me try again because they tell me that I use the wrong words. Let me explain again. No. And the proof, the story that all these lovely viewers and they're showing me. Now I've got show and tell of a 3-year-old in my presence. And I'm not thinking of it as, oh my God, I want to get out of here. No, I'm actually now humored in the way of being, I wonder what their brain is thinking because I'm not a mind reader and I really won't try to mind read. So, hey, because I'm not ignorant and stupid and I don't assume anything, how about you tell me what you're thinking about because I'm totally curious and I bet we are ending up in the same spot, but still I don't know how you're going to get to the same spot. So tell me. And they told me. It's like, that's very interesting. And yes, as I thought, we will end up in the same spot. However, my way of approaching what I was approaching is the way that I'm telling you. So thank you so much, though, for your opinion. I'm going to get back to my conversation. That's how you end it without being frustrated, annoyed, because you're only going to be frustrated or annoyed as a kid. Once you get to college and you meet other egos, you're like, okay, I thought I'd meet smart people. By the time I got to college, they're fucking and miserable. They're teasing about doing drugs, which I don't want to do. Do we have leadership? I mean, really, I see money-hungry human beings who have basically not really looked into themselves. They have learned how to dress up, and they think that what they're wearing actually makes them lawyers. I'm thinking, how dare you? Oh, hypocrisy. Back to my friend. I think I was telling you the story about my friend. So, as I called him a hypocrite, and if I wasn't, this is the story that we're going to close out with because of that believing thing and the subjective opinion. So, as he calls me a hypocrite, after that I'm done telling him he's a hypocrite, at first I'm like, but no, I'm not. And then I say, okay, let's not pout about it. Let's see what he has to say. Because obviously you have your opinion. He has his opinion. And I'm like, hey, so why am I a hypocrite? And he says, because for you, Maria, this and that are true, which the Enlightenment Soul Age group, that is quite accurate. And so with that, I'm like, you know what? Yeah. It is true, but I'm not a hypocrite to me, but according to your definition of hypocrisy, I am one. So I respect and accept that, and now that we have understood that hypocrisy means this to you, hypocrisy means this to me, do we really want to talk about belief because it sounds ridiculous? That's to me. So I don't like to use the word belief because it makes me think of people who want to know data because that's what they're asking you once they begin to do a little sword fight with you about it. If, on the other hand, we're all curious, we're all open, we're having a good time, and so we're just chit-chatting. Nobody's going to really say, but what do you believe in? Neutrality? You can't be neutral. When you have people who don't accept the land of the truth, you got a teenager in the room. Non-bilaterally integrated brain people. They're not mindfully living. They don't know how to, and if they don't want to, you can't make them because that's the part of what the ego does. They flop down their ears, ignore the fact that they're charged and that they have a personal opinion that is theirs and that we're differing. And they don't want to talk about it with, I love to love, and my baby, he loves to laugh and he loves to dance and love and learn and live and expand and not cast stones, so not judge, be open, be equanimous. They don't want to do land and neutrality because the adaptive child is unbridled self-expression. I need my very rigid boxes. I won't be forgiving. I will be harsh. I am already in my 3-year-old brain, and there you go. So you got a karma on wheels of an individual who doesn't even recognize how actually uninteresting that conversation is about to get. While I will immediately begin to know that by the third time, we're on disagreement. I don't have anything more to say because I already will have repeated myself 3 times in the best way possible. And I have no interest in arguing with you about what my opinion is because it doesn't have that need. I don't need to prove to you my opinion because we're not, stopping some humongous war. I'm not a negotiator, you see. It's social time. I'm having a good time. I'm not needing to prove anything. People who want to prove shit, they could go to academia and have a way better time. That's actually the only place, if there's ever a place where I would prepare for something like that, is academia. Other than that, I'm like, I'm not going to be doing any of let me prove Maria's opinions or beliefs or so. Side note, but mindfully living is fun for those of us who are 5D mystics in the Enlightenment Soul Age group as we get to our, and I'm going to say our because the 5D mystic, we have a whole different experience with our clairs. We don't get egoic. We don't have spiritual bypass. We do not in any way, shape, or form embody our ancestors, nor do we take on the ownership of saving. So yes, healers, I get it, but we aren't why people heal. We are not why people will be saved. It's because you will choose self-compassion. You will choose self-love. You will choose to heal and get the kingdom of God in your body by getting to become a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating person. And that's why the seed of enlightenment will be on for you, unlike the Zen master, who's a 3D 4D to me, because his non-bilaterally integrated brain, he continues to suffer when he cries or whenever whatever emotion comes up, because he doesn't know how to do ventral energy. He didn't choose 5 activities to get involved in so he could have a healthy self-soothing mechanism on a roll. Go Zen master, go. Oh, are you avoiding it? No, you're not avoiding it. You're creating resiliency. Now, of course, if you want a down day in the dumps, go for it. But every day you skip out on trying to help your nervous system to be in its ventral energy from your sympathetic or dorsal vagal is every day that you're not building resiliency in a restorative, self-aware, accountable, regulating body. So technically, you're just giving up on trying to get out of what is a on off, and to get your default mode never to stop scanning yourself and others. So you're disregarding learning how to use your brain, mind, body, and self in a way that could be Zen. Now, the people who like the stories, that's the part they like to say, well, I did two years of yoga. You can do all the yoga you want. It's in the moment that life says, oh, slap, there you go. Unknown, not in physical terms. I'm saying, oh, look, I don't know, some shit went down. You weren't expecting it. The courage to deal with it with your prefrontal and your ventral involves you not saying, it's laundry. I always have laundry. Life is so hard. I have to cry. And so crying must be suffering. Not when you're using prefrontal. 90 seconds is the cycle of an emotion. When you see people telling you, by the way, that the brain uses one circuitry for physical pain and emotional pain is another neuroscience is finding. And that's why I'm pseudoscience lady. Again, I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements all together, but I know what I'm talking about. I also can tell you what courses tell me data points. The other ones, like this one, I think I remember where I saw the video and a couple more, but I wouldn't be able to go and grab them if you asked me, hey, which ones were they? I have no idea. I just remember I saw them on YouTube as, a series of episodes of different people talking, you don't have emotions. The brain feels physical pain where the emotional pain. And I'm like, okay, you twisting the words so that people don't feel emotion isn't going to help them understand using your secondary consciousness to say, yes, I can feel deeply, which means that you can feel that the ocean and you are one. The capacity to become a surfboard is yours, and this is where the technique involves you pausing the left mode, not suppressing the emotions. You don't have to talk too much, too little. This is why it's a personal journey, but it's one that involves you shut up left mode for a minute, and okay, whatever needs to come up, wants to come up, comes up in a way that allows me to stay with my prefrontal. And so not in a way that I'm, let's just say some people, they think just crying for hours and out. No, at a certain point, you're just basically in the biochemistry of fear. You want a sliver of it. You want to allow it to come forth. You don't want to suppress it. You don't want to exaggerate it. Middle, neutrality. The land of truth is always neutral. Neutrality and duality, the advanced place of the inner growth program, because otherwise you won't be able to navigate the surfboard. Doesn't mean you like it, because of course you stub your toe. You're used to maybe saying fuck this shit in an exaggerated way. So learning to contain it at first is management, which is why people think that a person like me is trying to say have one emotion. I'm not. I'm saying you can build resiliency to navigate your prefrontal so that you don't go offline. And as somatic therapists will point out, a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating person is like an angry Buddhist. It's not suppression of emotions. It's not control. You will actively use your brain and work with it. And that's what people, brain, mind, and self, you need to first own the sense of self, which a bunch of people don't. And so leadership skills, you have them for real when you also have spiritual growth, personal development, and mindfulness daily practices in the forefront as a non-traumatized, secure attachment person. As long as you have any of that, which is still with a buttload of self-trauma charges that you haven't welcomed the view, somebody's going to notice. When my child parts come out, I know. So I was sharing one story, I think it was either at the beginning or maybe I re-recorded this one, a book that I'm reading. I am not enjoying it. Anytime I'm reading one paragraph or two, I'm like, this is irritating the fuck out of me. And it's my 3-year-old who doesn't like the way that they're going about how they're doing their analysis. And I know why, because I know myself. So I'm as I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, step to the side. We don't need to be bothered. They're not making irrefutable facts, Maria. This is their way of describing something. And so as I process that, I say, go to the side so I can hear without tainting the words that I'm reading. And that's part of what it means to have the capacity to be courageous. And to me it's silly, but courageous in your prefrontal as you deal with something with your ventral. And so you don't deny it, you don't suppress it, you don't say it's unimportant to yourself, you allow to be all that you are. That's empowered feminine, empowered masculine. And so with that personal development or spiritual growth, you will have what it takes with your higher self in the lead, and those leadership skills are real. Because to me, a leader, and to anybody who is empowered, it will be one, a person who can be an integrated brain, a restorative embodiment self, because that's when you're going to have real integrity. So what other people say about you won't matter. You won't be ashamed of what you have done because you won't have shame. You will not have that button. Society can come at you with whatever they want. As Patrick Tiahan points out, an empowered inner child is open-hearted, spontaneous, and doesn't give a shit about their boss with the toxic mannerisms. We also won't be like, let me yell at you in your face. Nope, we'll be non-reactive, which is why the fancy lady in the suit proves my point, because people who are not empowered don't know what neutrality or positivity are for real. They get irritated. They have traumatized parts. So they will either be irritated or they will just call you a coward, because that's the best they can do, is insult a person who is being neutral, because the reality is they are wondering what the fuck is going on because they can't tell. And because that inner child actually is not being tended to by them, and they're actually also spiting, by the way, the ventral energy that they didn't get. So it is really messed up when I think about it, because the 0-8-year-old of those people is leading them in trauma time, in a karma wheel, and all they got is insults, quote unquote. So yes, it's not very interesting to see people who are biologically rude, who get in their little angry circuit, and they can blow up in our faces and start calling us all the names in the world. Just makes me think of people who don't know how to be leaders for real, but they sure love pretending that they are. And then I know, following the leader, and Schopenhauer's quote of, well, if you want to appeal to the masses, do so. Or how is it? If you want to reach a large audience, appeal to the masses. I do look forward to the big mass of the 5D collective. As for the 3D, 4D masses, they are consistently out there because, well, again, not everybody actually understands what being a leader is, which is not dominating the situation. It means empowering people to do what they would not have imagined possible. And so when we see people are stuck in the realm of right and wrong, liking and disliking, and we do know that they will never know the texture of love, thank you Sadhguru, and the other quote was Sadhguru too, we know that we have a person who doesn't know that their personality is a filter through which their temperament deals with their nervous system as one big nervous system, and that since they are not in awareness, they don't become aware of who they really are, they don't even become aware that they are not their personality patterns, that they work with them. No, in fact, they will say, I am the persona. This is who I am. So past self people will say that their personality patterns and their past self teenager is who they are, which is exactly why a higher self-led person will not be wasting any time or breath, but will let 3-year-old talk. By the time they're done, we'll have acquired a thank you, let's shake hands, and we all move on with our lives, and there you go. And so again, welcome aboard 5D Collective. It's great to be here and to know how to share with you how personal development works for those who do self-help and who also do spiritual growth. Oh, and we don't lose people. We also don't talk about why our ancient soul went through so much torture with a teary eye and that pain point. Oh my gosh, if there's one thing that as an online entrepreneur marketer, I have consistently been like, what is this? Does everybody want a reward for crying and being angry and being disgusted or surprised or being afraid? Do you need a reward for every time your body feels a deep emotion? I don't get it. And that's because depth of emotion, mental and physical mastery is not scary to those of us who have integration of the brain, non-traumatized, securely attached bodies, because we have a self that we said, yeah, my name's Maria. It's a differentiated self, Mom. You can't spank it. Oh, you did? I'm going to go make my suitcase. And then to the biological father who called me the wrong name, I waited 3 times. That's how I handled my 2 primary caregivers, and it was, I'm Maria, and then I have a twin. So when you know who your first alloparenting group is, and my twin, I'm Grumpy Bear, she's Sunshine Bear, and so you can only imagine how my face was. And yes, I've maintained it. And at 8, she disowned me. So these stories are important. Why? Because I know everything about me. And then my body tells me more things. Tell me more, tell me more. What are you upset about? Like that book that I'm reading that I keep on getting irritated with. And I'm like, okay, you need to stop right now. We need to read this because we want to read it. And whatever this is, I actually already know why I don't like the book. But I'm not going to tell you the secret yet. We're going to wait until I'm done with that book and another book, and then we'll compare notes. Again, thanks for stopping by. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.